Ricky Gervais absolutely went off on all these woke celebrities in Hollywood. You guys are not going to want to miss this.
You're offended, it doesn't mean you're right. You know, it's... offence is about feelings, and feelings are personal. Some people are offended by equality. So what? You know, so you can't second-guess people. If you try and please everyone, you'll please no one.
Ricky Gervais is done with the political bullshit from Hollywood. He stood in front of some of the biggest celebrities in Hollywood and called them out to their face. This British-American comedian and actor has been making media rounds for the past few years, expressing his feelings about woke Hollywood and exactly what he thinks about it. But more to the point, Ricky feels no stronger hate than Hollywood celebrities and influencers expressing their woke beliefs and trying to be political. I mean, just take a look here at how he makes a mockery of Hollywood's woke influencers.
Hi guys, Ricky G here, wellness and beauty influencer. As a celebrity, I know all about stuff, like science and politics. So trust me when I tell you who you should vote for. If you don't vote the right way, that's like a hate crime, and it makes me sad and angry, and I'll leave the country, and you don't want that.
In under 30 seconds, Ricky pretends to be a Hollywood celebrity just to shame the fact that they express their political ideas to all their fans. It looks like a funny clip that means no harm. But Ricky has done all the harm in the world. He has called out these celebrities for being ignorant and manipulative. But in case you still doubt the fact that he doesn't care what others say about him, Ricky once went ahead to name drop Taylor Swift as one of these Hollywood celebrities. We have already seen from his speech at the Golden Globes where he says they're ignorant and don't know anything about the real world, much less politics. The man has been consistent in his calling out over the years. Stick to entertainment, Ricky says. As a comedian, Ricky has found creative ways to criticize the woke culture through telling brilliant jokes that expose flaws in their thinking.
You can get sued in this country for saying someone's gay if they're not, you know, which is a homophobic law, because you can't be sued the other way around. You can't be sued for saying someone's not gay if they are, which seems unfair, doesn't it?
But for all of these daring comments and snide remarks at the woke culture, you can be sure that Ricky receives his fair share of backlash. Like the outrage that came up because of some of the things he said on one of his shows. But it's Ricky. He still doesn't care.
My last show, Supernature, dropped on Netflix last year. Big backlash, wasn't there? Big backlash. People going, you can't say that. You can.
And one of them started when he dead-named the famous transgender Caitlyn Jenner. Deadnaming is a word coined by the woke community, and it basically implies that when a person transitions to another gender, it is unacceptable to refer to them as the gender they were before.
It seems that we are programmed since birth not to offend people, not to stray from the crowd, just blend in, be like everybody else. Ricky Gervais just completely shatters that mold because it is completely illogical. Why would I want to think like everybody else? Why am I not allowed to say certain things because it may offend you? Because if I police every single thing that I say to not offend anybody, you're not going to say a damn thing. I believe that every single human being should have the ability to say whatever the heck they want because it's their God-given right. Who are we to police that? Who are we to say you can't say that? That's a crime. Yeah, some people might say some brash things that might offend you, but so what? Move on. Freedom of speech. If you're so offended by what someone's saying, then your whole life priorities are screwed up. Because you know what? If somebody says something negative towards me, I'll be like, okay, I'm sorry. I wish you the best. And I'm going to move on with my life. I'm not going to sit there and nitpick every single thing that somebody says and try and get legal action against them. You live in such a backward society right now. I don't know how this has become the norm, but thank God for people like Ricky Gervais.
Subtly airs his strong views on this.
And I found out my crime was that I dead-named her. Now, I'd never heard that term, before a day after the Golden Globes, and that was saying her old name, and even acknowledging that she used to be a man. But she did. I saw him on the Olympic Games. It was decathlete, it was in everything, it was all over the place.
Ricky appears to be confused while making a joke out of the whole thing. Woke people seem to be so keen on erasing an entire existence just so what they believe can be supreme. In this case, it seems even more ridiculous because Bruce Jenner had that name for 58 whole years. So despite the rise of Caitlyn Jenner, the existence of Bruce Jenner isn't completely erased. But perhaps the most fascinating thing about Ricky is how he is a master of sarcasm and he uses it as a tool to call out woke people and expose the flaws in their systems. Here he called woke people out for virtue signaling.
Yeah, I'm not a fascist. It's an odd thing to just declare, isn't it, that you're not a fascist? We assume, don't we? You wouldn't go up to someone on the street and do that, would you? And go say, oh, by the way, I'm not a fascist. You know, it's like they protest too much.
According to Ricky, woke people are always acting like they're fighting for minorities, and they use this as an excuse for virtue signaling. So if you think about it, it's almost like minorities are merely a tool used by the woke people to make their opinions seem more superior than they really are. But it gets even worse, because if anyone else goes against these opinions, they are shut down by woke people and called names. They take offense and bash you for it. Ricky hates nothing more than this.
Well, you say you're woke, but the companies you work for, I mean, unbelievable. Apple, Amazon, Disney. If ISIS started a streaming service, you'd call your agent, wouldn't you? So, if you do win an award tonight, don't use it as a platform to make a political speech, right? You're in no position to lecture the public about anything. You know nothing about the real world.
But if you want to know just how far woke people have gone in their feeling offended, especially about other people's matters, Ricky shares a rather interesting story here.
I once tweeted, I've put on £7 and a picture of me with a big belly. Do your worst. Insult me, right? People said, you shouldn't fat shame. What, me? I shouldn't fat shame me. Right, okay, my bad. Yeah. It's ludicrous what people get upset about.
In choosing when to get upset and what to get upset by, Ricky describes the woke people as completely ludicrous, and he's in utter disbelief at the fact that it's almost like they search and sniff around for anything that could offend them so they could voice it. However, Ricky has more to say about this subject.
Who will go online and leave a comment? You might as well go and read toilet walls to get upset about them. I have never been upset by anyone on Twitter. I'm too happy.
Let's think about this for a moment. Since Ricky says he cannot get offended by people's comments on Twitter, does that mean that the woke people who always seem offended are unhappy and so feel the need to get angry about everything? But of all the subtle jabs and disses Ricky has ever made about woke people and regarding woke culture, this one is definitely way up there.
There are real things in the world. Real things in the world. I once tweeted, people are more offended by jokes about war, famine, fucking murder than actual war. Yeah. They're not doing anything towards those. They shouldn't joke about it. What are you doing towards the real thing?
The question Ricky asks here stares woke people in the face, and there has not been a response since. In a nutshell, Ricky is saying woke people pretend to care about societal issues.
I think what this all boils down to is that the people that get offended, they attack and slander anybody who speaks out like Ricky Gervais. And the reason they do that is because deep down in their hearts, they think that they know better. They have more wisdom, they have more kindness in their heart. But in reality, that could not be further from the truth. They use these minority groups to further their own agenda. They want you to ignore your own foolish eyes. You don't know what you see. They want you to say Caitlyn Jenner is just as much a woman as your mother is. If you say anything contrary, they're going to go after you. I don't know about you, but I don't want to live in a world like that. I want to live in a society where you can say whatever the heck you want, and if it offends you, okay, too bad, get over it. Just because you are offended does not mean that you are right. And just because these people try and act so virtuous and they're holier than God does not mean that they actually are. Because in a lot of cases, these are some of the nastiest people I've ever seen in my life. You look at a negative comment thread on Twitter or YouTube, or don't even get me started on Reddit. If you go to any of these places, read these comment sections, I just envision bitter people sitting alone in a dark room, writing negative comments to try and make themselves feel better. So my question is, why are we listening to these people?
Saying woke people pretend to care about societal issues by getting offended. But if they really cared, they would do something about it, like donating to the casualties of war. Surely that means more than simply criticizing what people say about things, right? Still in the spirit of criticizing and laying down rules on what should be and what shouldn't, Ricky expresses concern about woke publications being released, and it's all about how comedians should practice their art.
Oxbridge comedians writing for the posh papers, telling the rules of comedy. They're laying it down, laying down the law, right? And some stuff like, comedy should punch up. You should never punch down. You should never punch down.
Comedians have always had a free hand when they tell jokes, but because of woke culture, people have started having opinions on how comedy should be, policing what comedians say or don't say. Doesn't take a genius to know Ricky certainly did not like that. Watch how he delivers a fatal blow to all the woke people policing comedy.
Sometimes you've got to punch down, like if you're beating up a disabled toddler. You know what I mean? If you punch up, you'll miss the little cunt and he'll win, you know.
Sure, that's funny and it all sounds like a joke, but Ricky is not nearly done.
I like that joke because it highlights the difference between metaphorical punching down in jokes and actual punching down. But people nowadays want you to believe that words are actual violence, right? Now, you laughed at a joke about beating up a disabled toddler. No one got hurt. If I'd have actually dragged out a disabled toddler and started beating him up, you would laugh, right?
In the form of a brilliant joke, Ricky slams woke people yet again, telling them clearly that doing a bad thing should not carry the same weight as talking about a bad thing. And this ties back to what he said in a previous clip where he said, "Because you feel offended doesn't mean you're right." In his words, woke people treat jokes about hot-button topics as actual violence, and in that, Ricky draws the line. But Ricky is not the only one in Hollywood that believes woke people are taking it too far. Another Hollywood star, Rob Schneider, was mortified about a new woke development in schools.
Unbelievably, on university campuses now they have free speech zones, which sounds cool and nice, but not that long ago the entire university was a free speech zone.
This concerning development comes in the wake of woke people clamping down on the rights of others to speak against them. And if this is what happens in schools of learning, then they're grooming the younger generation to keep their mouths shut. Ricky always comes for them at the slightest opportunity. But you don't...
As the creator of The Office? No, you don't, do you? You think Steve Carell did it all? Oh, he's brilliant, isn't he, Steve Carell? He's amazing as the bumbling office manager. Where does he get his ideas from? Let's pay...
It's hard to think Steve was joking with that nonverbal threat. In a nutshell, all that Ricky stands against is the fact that woke people always shove their ideas, beliefs, and passions down people's throats. He thinks it's arrogant.
How arrogant are you to think that you deserve to go through life with no one ever saying anything that you don't agree with or like? I want people to stop saying that joke's offensive.
Yeah.
I want them to start saying I found it offensive. Because that's all it is. You're just telling me how you feel about it.
Yeah.
The only way that you can go through this life without offending anybody is if you do nothing, say nothing, and absolutely be nothing. You could see the most wholesome thing on social media, like a 5-year-old playing Beethoven, and then you're going to see someone in the comments saying, "That sucks." That is inevitable. You're always going to have people like that, but you can't be offended by them. You just have to move on with your life. And I think the problem is, a lot of these people, especially in today's society, they don't know what it's like to go through pain, have any semblance of difficulty in their life, because at the first sign of discomfort, they want to just throw in the towel and attack this person with all their might, rather than just move on with their life and just keep improving yourself. If you were a stand-up comedian and someone gave you hate, you don't just try and cancel the person who gave you hate. Maybe they might have been onto something, and maybe you can use that to your benefit, and you can learn from it and become a better comedian. It seems that's a lost concept in today's world, because no one knows how to deal with it, so they just want to cancel you. And I think that's why Ricky Gervais is so brash. He's just trying to wake you up. He's trying to wake you up from this programming that just because you disagree with something doesn't mean you're right. Doesn't mean that you have the luxury of canceling their ability to speak freely. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on this down below. What do you think of Ricky Gervais as a whole? Is there any other person from Hollywood like Ricky Gervais who constantly combats this craziness? Let me know, I'd love to hear that. And if you enjoyed, make sure to smash that like, comment, subscribe, and I wish you guys nothing but the best. Till next time.